excited.
Call the meeting to order. Will everybody stand up for a short prayer? Okay, I can't read that. God grant us the wisdom to make those decisions that are in the best interest of all of our residents. May the Heavenly Father of us all bless those who have given the ultimate sacrifice in service of our nation, and may we watch over and protect our servicemen and women now guarding the gates of freedom. A pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, born and unborn. Jessica, read the statement of publication.
Take notice that this regular meeting of the mayor and council being held on the 17th day of August 2020 has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Conti,
Yes.
Delina,
I can't hear anything right now.
Can't hear you. Do you have your
I think the council chambers is on mute.
Are we on move?
thing, council chamber? I see a mute for council chambers also. They don't, I also typed to them that we don't hear anything.
I'll text someone as well.
Are we,
can you hear me now? I'm on, council chambers is, no, I don't see myself on
Jessica,
mute.
can you hear us? Can you wave your hand if you hear us? We don't hear you.
how about now?
Can you hear us now?
I
Yeah, now I hear you.
Okay.
All right.
It's like a Verizon commercial.
I know.
We're on roll call. Councilpersons Delina,
Here.
Enriquez, you have to unmute yourself.
Damon, you're on mute. Damon, we can't hear you. Get better at this. Damon? By the time we get through.
Tell Damon to call back in.
don't hear you guys again. Did you call my name?
No, we're still waiting for Damon.
Okay, thank you.
Mike, should we go on? See, I just hit the mute button on my phone. Hit the mute button. Okay.
Damon, can you hear us?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. It wasn't working. It wasn't unmuting me, but it is. I dialed back in, and now we're working. Thank
Okay.
you. I'm here.
Okay. Councilpersons Mar,
Here.
Novak,
Here.
Roberts.
Here.
Okay, our professionals, the business administrator,
Present.
CFO,
Here.
engineer.
Here.
Okay.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve, subject to correction if necessary, the minutes that are listed on the agenda. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay. The mayor will be here shortly, so I'm leaving the COVID-19 update until she
Just gotta
gets
do
here.
roll call on those minutes.
Oh, excuse me, roll call on the minutes?
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Delina,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, old business, we're going to have a public hearing on ordinance 505-20. Jess?
An ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 7 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Saraville to amend Section 7-4.1, trucks over 4 tons excluded from certain streets.
At this time, I'm going to open it to the public for any comments or questions on this ordinance and this ordinance only.
And if you have a question, press star 9 so that we can see. One. Mr. Sislo.
Mr. Sislo, could you speak now? Do I have to do something?
Mr. Sislo, are you there?
Mr. Sislo, can you hear us? Mr. Sislo, you're indicating you wanted to speak on this ordinance. You're unmuted. Can you speak now?
If you can hear me, try dialing back in.
Is he still on?
He's out.
Okay, I'll wait till, see if he dials back in. Was he the only one that was star 69? Oh, he's not star 69,
Star 9.
star 9.
Good thing.
Yeah, that I'm not used to at all. I've never done that. 15 years, I've never done that. This is assistant.
Back.
Okay, Mr. Sislo, would you, you indicated you'd like to speak on this ordinance? Mr. Sislo, can you hear us?
You might have to unmute himself.
He muted himself now.
Now he muted himself. You can see that?
He's unmuted on our end, Nicole? Mr. Sislo, can you hear us?
Mr. Sislo, can you hear us? Is Tom in the building? I think this is gonna be everybody. Mr. Rittenhouse, you're on, can you hear us? He might be able to hear us. We can't hear him.
Oh, he's on mute again. Unmute yourself, Mr. Rittenhouse.
Seeing this.
Unmuted now. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, yep.
Would you speak?
What would you like me to say?
We just wanted to make sure that we were having a problem
Yeah.
with another resident. We wanted to make sure it wasn't everybody. We thank you for your
No, I
cooperation.
can hear you. We're good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. Mr. Sislo, can
You're
you,
welcome.
Mr. Sislo, can you hear us? It might be a problem on his end. Mr. Sislo, if you can hear us, could you raise your hand again, or star 9? He's out entirely. Mike, what would you suggest? Can we go on? Okay.
Else, yeah, who's?
Anybody else want to speak on this ordinance only?
So, phone number ending in 5834. Unmute yourself. Go ahead and speak.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes. Who is this?
Yes. This is Robert Tislow from 22 Driftwood Drive.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. You wanted to speak on this ordinance?
Yes. Yes, I just wanted to follow up. I haven't been sending the mayor emails and that. I sent her with the pictures. This past month of July and into August, that there was 17 more trips of the same vehicle, and now we started to have single axle trailers and tractors come through delivering Coke, Pepsi, and FedEx.
Well, this ordinance, once it is approved tonight, in its final reading, then they can start issuing tickets if they don't follow the 4-ton limit. If there's problems with lower weighted trucks, we'll have to have Sergeant Braille give us a recommendation on that. But this should keep all 4-ton vehicles off those streets.
I think as well, we're
But
going to
the
notify
only problem is that
businesses
I,
too.
Yeah.
the signs are not even installed.
What did he say?
What was that, Mr. Sislo?
I said that the signs have not been installed, and I thought that you guys also were going to send a letter to,
Yes.
I guess, the companies and Wow, Starbucks.
Yes, that will happen, but it must be approved tonight on second reading. Once this is approved, the signs will go up and the notices will be sent out to those businesses, okay?
Okay, that sounds really good.
Thank you.
Thank you
Did you
very
wanna
much.
say
And once
something?
again,
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sislo. Is there anybody else that'd like to speak on this ordinance?
Press star 9.
Seeing no hands, I'm looking for a motion.
All right, so I move the public hearing be closed, the ordinance adopted on second and final reading, and advertised according to law.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded, roll call?
Councilpersons Conti,
Yes.
Delina,
yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, we're now going to have a reading of ordinance 506-20.
Bond ordinance amending bond ordinance 376-17, finally adopted October 17, 2017 by the Borough of Saraville in the County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, in order to provide for a change in the improvements authorized by such ordinance.
At this time, I'm opening it to the public. If anybody wishes to speak on this ordinance, please press star 9 to be recognized. Nobody? Seeing nobody, I make a motion. I guess it's mine anyway.
Donna's on.
Donna, this is your, do you want
Yeah,
to?
I've got it. I move the public hearing be closed, the ordinance adopted on second and final reading and advertised according to law. Public hearing to be heard, public hearing was today.
Second.
Second. Oh, you second? Sorry.
Roll call?
Councilpersons Roberts,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Delina,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Novak.
Yes. I'm going to leave the appointments for the mayor when she gets here. New business, the clerk, you're going to read the supplemental debt statement.
Yep, I just want to report that we did receive the supplemental debt statement. Need a motion to accept?
Motion to accept. Ooh, Donna should.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call?
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Delina,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
We're going to have first reading of ordinance 507-20.
Yes. An ordinance amending Chapter 2 of Administration to amend subsection 2-54B, Saraville Alliance Family Education, Safe Committee of the Revised General Ordinances of the Borough of Saraville.
Vince? First reading.
Yep, I move the ordinance be approved on first reading, advertised according to law, and a public hearing to be held on, is that September 14th, 2020?
Second? Second. Motion made and seconded.
Councilpersons Conti,
Yes.
Delina,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, introduction of ordinance number 508-20, bond ordinance providing for various road improvements for the borough of Sayreville, New Jersey, appropriating $4 million therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $3,550,000 bonds or notes of the borough for financing part of such appropriation.
Councilwoman Roberts?
Move the ordinance be approved on first reading, to be advertised according to law, and a public hearing to be held on September 14th.
Second.
Councilpersons Roberts,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Delina,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
No, it's okay, let's continue, and then the only thing I need to do is make the appointment. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on then to ordinance number 508-20.
No, that we just finished.
Oh, we just finished that one, my
Sorry,
apologies.
we were still in the middle of it, that's why I didn't exit.
Thank you all for, thank you, Council President, for covering for that couple of minutes. So then we're going to move on to our consent agenda resolutions. I'll open to the public for anybody that wishes to speak on our consent agenda resolutions only at this point. And let me
And
go.
press star 9.
Yes, please press star 9 as we've been doing. So that way I know that somebody wishes to speak. I don't see any hands raised for our consent agenda resolution. So at this point, Council President, I'll ask for a motion.
I move the consent agenda, I move the public portion be closed and the consent agenda resolutions be approved on roll call vote.
Roll call, please.
Give me a second.
Second.
Oh, sorry.
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Delina,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Roberts.
Thank you very
Yes.
much. Okay, we're going to move on to, we have one resolution to be read in full. So Jessica, I'll let you do that after you shuffle a few things.
Resolution number 2020-198, a resolution of the Borough of Sayreville in the County of Middlesex, amending resolutions number 2019-158 and 2019-266 regarding community investment strategies, affordable housing project in the River Road redevelopment area. Whereas the Borough Council adopted Resolution 2019-158, a resolution of need on May 28, 2019, and Resolution 2019-266, approving a pilot agreement on August 19, 2019, for the 100% affordable housing project being developed by Community Investment Strategies, CIS, in the River Road redevelopment area. And whereas CIS has assigned its rights, title, and interest in the affordable housing project to the Place at Sayreville LLC, TPS, and assigned its rights, title, and interest in the agreement for a payment in lieu of taxes with the borough dated August 29, 2019 to TPS. Whereas said resolutions and related documents listed the number of units as 88, and whereas the number of units should have been specified as 88 affordable plus one manager's unit for a total of 89 units, whereas TPS has requested the Borough Council to amend the above referenced resolutions and related documents to reflect the 89 units. Be it, and it is hereby resolved that Resolution 2019-158 and 2019-266 and their related documents are hereby amended to change the number of units from 88 to 89 in order to reflect the one manager's unit that was left off of the prior unit calculation. And be it further resolved that the mayor, council president, and business administrator are authorized to make any changes and execute any documents needed to effectuate this resolution.
Okay, thank you very much for all of that, Jess. Do we need to open to the public or just a? All right, so we will open to the public. I see one hand raised, that's Mr. Robinson. Mr. Robinson, you're in the public. Please state your name and address, please.
11 Burrell Square.
Hello, Jane. You're in the you're in our meeting, so you can ask your question or comment.
I'm sorry, say that again, please?
No, you're in the public portion, so you can ask your question or you can make your comment at this time.
Oh, okay. I just want to ask, now, these 89 units or the 88 units, these are the affordable units with the veterans preference, correct?
You took the words right out of my mouth. I knew someone would ask. Yes, these are the ones that we had put that stipulation in for veteran preference. That is correct.
Okay, very happy to see this. Thank you very much.
You and me both, absolutely agree. Thank you. And I have Mr. Rittenhouse. You can state your name and address and then ask your question.
Okay, Arthur Rittenhouse, 33 Delacat Lane, Sayreville. A couple of questions on this. The 89th unit, is that going to be taxed at the full rate as opposed to the other 88 units?
I might have to defer that over to our attorney on that because this one was added for, again, the that management. Did you hear Mr. Rittenhouse? Okay, so I don't know, Mr. Rittenhouse, if you were able to hear Mike, but he said he's going to double check with our.
I did.
Okay, perfect, and then he'll get back. But it is a good question. I appreciate it.
And then the second part, seeing that's a pilot program and it's 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units, is the council going to consider taking some of that pilot money and giving it or working with the school board so they can ease their burden from getting the potential students that will come out of such a large unit?
We will take a look at that pilot agreement. That pilot agreement, though, remember, this was part of the 100% affordable units, so there are some legal ties in reference to the state, I believe, Mike, in reference to that because of how we had to go about getting that approval. So there is a little bit more fingers involved in this one than just a general pilot because this is, we went in for that 100%, tax, what was that terminology? My Sarah days are starting to kind of lapse. In order for us to get the rate that we did to have this development project go up, there was a lot involved when the tax base. Yes, and I will tell you this, that when I was on Sarah during this entire creation, and Mary, you're actually on Sarah now as well, so I know that you'll follow up with this on your next meeting. This is part of our redevelopment project, and they will definitely bring it up. But Mike, yeah, please reach out to Mr. Baker, and Mary, I know you'll be our voice piece on there.
Me too.
Oh, yeah, and Vinny too.
If she forgets.
But we don't have a meeting until September, though, just so
Right.
people are aware of that.
Okay, so thank you for that, Mr. Rittenhouse. Anything else?
So that's it for now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And anybody else in the public that wishes to speak on this particular item? Seeing none, I will ask for roll call.
I move that the public portion be
Motion.
closed and the resolution be adopted on roll call vote.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All right, roll call, Jess.
Councilpersons Novak.
Yes.
Conti.
Yes.
Delina.
Yes.
Enriquez.
Yes.
Mar. Yes. Roberts.
First, a question. For these 88 units, how many more units do we need to meet the affordable housing obligation?
We reached our obligation under the last phase, and this was one of the developments that we needed to have in order to do that. So all the rest of the approved housing projects that were a part of our affordable housing mandate, our COA litigation, they're already in the plans and they're already being worked. It's just a matter of when that developer actually starts putting shovel into dirt. So we've already reached, based on these proposed development projects, that first phase, 2025, and then we'll find out what our new affordable component will be after that. So does that answer your question, Donna?
That answers kind of the question. Apparently that is kept up in the air and the numbers change all the time, so that always concerns me.
No.
Because you can never
Those numbers cannot change. We were forced into a COA obligation. This was going back a number of years now. Again, what I call my dark years, because it was about 2 years of us fighting this litigation. So what was handed down to us, Mike, do you remember what that number was? This number cannot change. What we are fulfilling, that's a fixed number now. That was a
Now until
closed.
2025.
We won't know what our next round of obligation will be for quite a while. We're talking at a couple of years now. That is why it is so important for us and for our planning board to make certain that any new proposed development that we allow that is housing has to include the affordable housing components. Otherwise, we get slammed like we did the last time. What happened was our previous planning board was not minding the store, or in some cases, and I'll come right out and say it, ignoring it and providing some sweetheart deals, in my opinion, to developers for many, many years. And we got slammed with a ridiculous amount of affordable housing that we were not fulfilling. And that's where this particular litigation went. Not to relitigate, and I know that Jim Robinson's on the line, so he might actually, if I brought him in, remember exactly what our settlement agreement was. My numbers just aren't sticking in my head right now. He already raised his hand. I knew he would. He's on it. So we don't quite know what that next affordable number is going to be. But this number is not changing. The number that we settled in that litigation is static. It doesn't move. It stays that way. So please don't put that out there. This number is not changing.
So for the one unit that the developer wants to add in addition, it does not meet, and it will not be part of our obligation, and therefore I do not want to add any more high-density housing if it's not necessary for this obligation.
Right, well, hopefully, say that again, Mr. Duke? Yeah, we would have to vote on that. That's what you have a planning board and stuff for, and then,
I think she means vote on this, just vote no then.
oh, okay, to vote on this. So, thank you, Donna. Did you
So
vote yes?
that is my, I don't know. I will say no.
Okay. Alrighty, so that takes care of everybody, so that, we'll, just before I close it out of, just respect, I did kind of summons Jim into the meeting, so I know that we closed the public portion, but does anybody have an objection if I bring Jim in?
No, because we're going up to the.
Yes, we're coming up to it anyway. Jim, you should be in the public now.
Okay, the number, our affordable housing obligation was 785.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I hate to say it, but I have COVID numbers in my head right now, and they're starting to merge. So say that again, it was 785, right?
785.
Thank you very much.
And Jim, that was good until 2025, correct? And then after that, we'll
Yes.
get new numbers? Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Okay,
New
so,
notes.
thank you again, James. Jim, I never call you James. Thank you, Jim.
James is my son.
With that, we're going to move on to our borough attorney's report. Okay, very good. I'll open to the public at this time for any and all comments or questions.
Mayor,
Let me take a look.
Mayor, before you open to the public, Mayor, before you open to the public, there were two items that were left open by the council president that you may want to address before the public session. One was the COVID-19 update, and the other were appointments.
Yes, thank you for that. I appreciate the reminder. I'll keep my COVID-19 update very, very brief, and I'll just remind people that on our Cerevel.com webpage is where we have our update of our numbers. So I'm happy to report today, although I wish it was a 0 day, we do have one confirmed case again. We have had a couple of days of zeros, but in my opinion, not enough. So we are total right now of positive cases in Cerevel at 824. We sadly have to report that we have 40 confirmed fatalities. One of the most recent ones, a fairly young, 41 in age. So everybody, like at home and up here, I know we all watch eagerly as the governor makes his press briefings, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and we're going to continue to follow that. We are still in this modified stage 2 type of reopening where we're sort of moving forward with certain things, but then we get pulled back. So I think that here in Sayreville, we're doing an excellent job at trying to abide by wearing masks and doing the right thing. And it appears that our police have not had to go and intervene in our restaurants, and I ask people to continue to do that or at any of our other establishments. So another day, I just ask that we all pray that this goes away sooner rather than later. And remember, today, tomorrow, together, we are all in this, and we will all get out of this. So that takes care of that. I do have appointments to make, but I don't know where my worksheet, just the one, right? Okay. So I will ask for council approval on appointing Heather Mayara to, let me take a look here, the Sayreville Environmental Commission as a regular member.
I move that the mayor's appointment be approved on roll call vote.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. And it says an alternate too.
No, that's if you wanted to, that's the only 2 places.
Those were the only 2 places that we can go, but I'd rather put her in the regular member position than an alternate. So we need a roll call on that?
Councilpersons Novak.
Yes.
Delina. Inconce, sorry.
Yes.
Okay. Enriquez.
Yes.
Mar.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, and now we'll enter into our public session, and I already see one hand raised. I'm going to use the last digits of the following number. You're going to be in the public. It's 2225, so who's ever calling in from that number, please state your name and address. So
My name is Larissa Sufaru. I'm just asking when you're going to get to the authorization by Daniel E. Frankel.
Oh, are you, you might be looking at the agenda session, that's probably under Mr. Frankel's, our business administrator. So I'm not sure what you're asking. He normally doesn't speak until the next meeting, which is still today, but after we close this meeting. Do you want to tell me specifically what?
Okay, that's all I wanted to know is when you get to that. And are we able to listen to that meeting as well?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So you have a question about something that is under the business administrator, Mr. Frankel's report, is what I'm,
That's correct.
okay.
That is correct.
Yes, that is going to be.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. We'll talk to you then shortly. And
Okay.
thank you. Next is Art. You are back in the public, so you can ask your question.
Okay, thank you. Arthur Rittenhouse, 33 Delacat Lane, Sayreville. I actually have 3 questions. The first is the one that I always ask. Fulton's Landing, which is no longer Fulton's Landing. The name has changed. It's now Main Street South, Roman numeral 1 and 2, which I was amazed that no one knew that, other than it was changed in May of 2019 in the assessor's office. The other question is the fines in the court case. I don't know if that still has not been adjudicated, and I'm sure Mr. DuPont can answer that. And the other question is, there are still no permits of any kind in the borough office. Now, I opened the borough, and Jessica got back to those right away as usual. I also opened CIRA. CIRA has not responded. Now, I've had 4 OPRA requests with CIRA over the last 3 years. 3 out of the 4, they have not answered on time, and I've had to go to government records. And again, it's about whatever we want to call it, Main Street 1 and 2. Does Mr. DuPont have a mayor? Can you ask Mr. DuPont if he has any information?
Sure. Okay. Okay, so Mr. Rittenhouse, were you able to hear Mr. Dupont?
Some of it. Is he in the room?
He is. He's all the way in the back, though. We don't have him,
Why don't you hand him one of the portable microphones?
I don't think our system is hooked up for that, but, for right now, since we've been
Okay.
working in a COVID, so I will, I'll just clarify for you. Right now, in reference to the court case right now, the courts have not scheduled that. As you know, most of the courts have been closed, so it does take a while in order for those dates to get on there. So at this point, that has not been scheduled, correct, Mr. Dupont? And he will provide you with the resolution from Sarah that I don't necessarily want to say allowed for, because I don't think we had the ability to stop them from changing the name, but at least you will have the resolution, so that way we were notified, and you know that Sarah is aware, and that the change from Fulton's Landing to whatever the name of the developer's, situation is marked, and it's not going to change anything moving forward with our redevelopment agency in that project. He'll provide you with that resolution, though, okay?
Thank you. Now, the next item I have is the communications person that was hired. I last asked the question at the last meeting. We paid over $7,000 for a $2,000 a month job, and that was for May and June.
I'll have Mr. Frankel, I'll have
Mr.
Mr. Frankel speak on that right now, so that way you have the most current, up-to-date, and accurate information. Mr. Frankel?
First of all, the payments to the communications director was for $6,500, not $7,000. There was a check made for May, June, and July, which was $6,000, which was in addition to $2,000 a month times 3 months is $6,000. She's received $6,500 so far. She has not received August as of yet. We're in the middle of August, and the additional $500, which needs to be discussed with council, was done for additional items that the council did not discuss but will discuss. But right now, if anything, at the moment, she's actually due an additional $1,500 because $500 could be credited to August, and for $1,500. So we're right in line of where we should be.
I have receipts. I have bills that I got from my Oprah request that show over $7,000.
She's received checks totaling $6,500.
No, according to the records I received on the Oprah request, it was over $7,000. Counting the last bill list.
Checks or bills?
Yeah, those were bills, or,
Checks.
I checked on that also. When you questioned this last one, that bill wasn't paid. We just discussed it at the meeting, and that amount was changed. So the only extra she got was right in the beginning, and it was for extra work that she did. So it wasn't, you might have received bills, but we didn't pay. That last bill that was for $2,500, we only paid $2,000. So you saw, the same thing with me. I saw the bill too, but there was never a check issued for that.
It was approved. It was approved on the bill list.
The bill,
Payment, that check.
and the bill wasn't issued for that amount. It was issued
Last
for just
month,
the 2,000.
Well, was that position bid for?
This decision, to the best of my knowledge, the decision was made to hold up the check because there had been questions about that particular bill. And the decision was made to hold it up until we looked into it, and then the decision was made to only issue it for $2,000. Am I correct, Mr. Frankel?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
He said yes.
And the other question, when that first came up, were there bids? Was that sent out for bid?
I would have to ask Mr. Frankel on
position.
that, because Mr. Frankel was responsible for working on that hiring when we turned around and said we need it. And we wanted to move forward, especially with COVID, making sure we had communications out to the public. Remember, for the entire time that this borough has been in operation, including the last 20 years, we had zero communication out to our residents other than what was posted on our Saraville webpage
Mayor, if I can just add to that.
and Channel 15.
I follow East Brunswick's media page and Old Bridge Facebook's page, and we are finally up to par as far as communicating as these other towns are, as far as communication and being transparent. Never, other than attending a council meeting, have I ever known what streets were being paved, when Fort Grumpy was open, other borough news, branch pickup, COVID information, graduation information, the service request forms. There's so many benefits that we offer our residents that many of my friends and neighbors are completely unaware of. And our communications director, I think, is doing a wonderful job, and I think we are finally up to par with communicating as other towns of our caliber are.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I don't want to I don't want to forget, we did have a Nixle alert, but I can't imagine, I mean, just going through Tropical Storm Isaias, if we did not have the communications that we do have between our Facebook, the Borough Blast, how could I forget the Borough Blast? That's 10,000 residents almost. So I'm very excited that in a matter of, how many months now have we been here? 8 months? 8 months since I've been in the middle seat? We've been able to very, very quickly move to a time where we can inform residents in so many different ways.
And here's a great example. I reached out to our communications person on Wednesday that in person, I noticed some chatter on Facebook about water bills being higher.
Oh.
And I reached out to her to say, can you please relay that we are now doing in-person water meter readings again? And within an hour, the message was out. That is efficient.
You know what might be a good idea? I didn't realize that we could talk directly. I have no way of getting in touch with Julie, so maybe if we all got too. But I can honestly say, before, we had Channel 15, which was extremely difficult because you had to sit there sometimes. You could sit there for an hour.
That's right.
Before you ever, so people just kind of tuned out of Channel 15, whereas this, it pops up and then somebody shares it and it pops up again. Facebook is a little bit more efficient, at doing this, because it's not just what we put out there, but one resident sees it and then shares it. And so even if everybody didn't see it the first time, by around the 15th time of being shared, so it's a lot more efficient for people, particularly for stuff that's time sensitive. There's still some stuff on Channel 15 that's been done with for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It takes a while. We can change.
It also allows.
Add in,
It also allows the fact that there's a lot of misrepresented information that's put out on social media. So it allows the township to put out correct information so residents actually know what's going on.
The heck you
And not,
say.
the misrepresented information put forth by others.
My concern is not with the information going out, but the fact that we've had volunteers over the last 3 years that could have provided almost all of that to us at little or no cost at all. That was my concern with that. That we had people who were turned down who
But do we
volunteered.
know if these volunteers are people who are actually able to do this
Yes.
properly,
It's their
have the
business.
proper background in communication?
may I add something to the conversation? I did have a question, and Mayor, I do have to commend you on the communications you put out. They have been very clear. However, I think I have a concern that Mr. Rittenhouse has identified about the whether it was put out for bid. There was a lot of interest from a lot of people in a position like this, so that's just a good question to have. Also, Mr. Franco, you identified this position as the communications director, which when we first voted for this position, I did not think it was going to be elevated to a level of director. I thought it was going to be someone that we are going to direct in a way of using that communication. I know a lot has gone on and a lot of communication was necessary, but I think this is a very big undertaking and we have to do it right, and there should be a scope of work, standard operating procedures, and for everything that you've been saying that has been done properly, I have not been getting a lot of these communications, and I think that we should have some targets to meet And I've heard none of this. And coming from a business side, these are kind of the expectations I have for a position like this, especially when it's new. We need to be able to quantify what we're getting.
So I'll wait to respond until after we're able to close the public portion, because I want to make sure our residents have a chance to speak. But Donna, you bring up some good points. I think we'll be able to address those. But I want to make sure that Art has the opportunity to ask any additional questions that he may have. Art, do you have anything
I
else?
want one more, Mayor.
Sure.
Are we having our annual 9/11 ceremony?
That's a great question. I'm going to be honest with you. I have not received that. We were not going to do that.
The answer, if I may, the answer is yes. We've been in contact with Ken Kelly.
Great.
Ken Kelly is taking it over from the officer that was in charge that is overseas. It will be a scaled down 9/11. We're working with Ken to make that happen.
Very good. I'm
Do we have a
glad.
date, Ken?
Glad to hear it.
We've been talking, of course, not on 9/11. Ken was supposed to get back to me today or tomorrow, actually, either the day before or the day after. So it's not been set, and as soon as it's been set, we will make sure we post it.
Art,
Thank you very much.
Art, one of the reasons we usually never have it on the exact 9/11 is several of our families, especially the users, like to go into New York on 9/11. So we try to accommodate them.
I know. Yeah,
I don't know,
I understand that.
I don't know
knew
what
that.
I
the
don't know what's
services will
happening
be.
in New York this year, so I guess, that they'll try to reach out to the families first.
This particular memorial that we do, I'll be honest, I'm glad that Ken has agreed to take this charge back up, especially knowing that Rob is not going to do it because he's overseas right now, because Ken has always done an amazing job with that. And we've always allowed them to plan with the families what is most respectful, and then they inform us. And I think it's the way it should be. We will be there, and it will be done like they are most comfortable with handling.
And we'll make sure Julie puts it on Facebook page as soon as we have all the particulars.
That's right. But thank you for that question, and I'm glad, Dan, that you were able to update us with that. Anything else, Art?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, anybody else from the public wish to speak? I don't know if, I'm looking through here, and there's a couple of numbers that aren't identified as individuals, but I'll take this time in case he is on. If there's a gentleman by the name of Parth Patel that happens to be on, now would be the time to press star 9. And if I don't see the hand go up, then I'll just mention to the council briefly who Parth is and why I was hoping that he was going to call in, and I think he was going to, but he may not have been able to. He was on before. So I don't want to steal Parth's thunder, but I received an email, I think it was last week. Yeah, let's close the public portion. If he raises his hand, we'll bring him back in. So can I have a
move the
motion?
public portion be closed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, yeah, roll call, please.
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Chauncey,
Yes.
Melina,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Roberts.
Okay, so, thank you for that. I'll just briefly state, and again, if Parth comes on at the next session. So, this young man has reached out to me via email. He has a volunteer organization group that he's actually put together, and they're reaching out to us saying that one of the things they want to do is help Saraville with some of our cleanup initiatives. And I see somebody with Yosh Kep. Oh, this might be one of the young men or young ladies that is involved in this group. So I'll just click over to them in a second. They want to be able to assist us voluntarily for free and actually try and drum up more people to volunteer to actually go in and do some cleanups for us, which we know we desperately need, and other things that they can bring from a community outreach perspective. And I said to please call in today so that way they would have an opportunity to share their vision. And they're asking our support if we can reach out using our communications officer. She's not a director, for the record, because then that would elevate her to a status here within the borough that would put her into director's meeting. So that's not her title. She's not a director. And a consultant, I don't believe, can be a director within our borough employee base. But maybe we can use her to help them to gain more members and more support and help us get a better volunteer group. So I'm just gonna check and make sure if Yash Koppel has anything to do with this. I have a feeling it's true. So can you put Yash into the public? Yash, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, hello?
Hello, are you in connection with Parth and what I'm talking about?
Yes. So I'm going to be speaking on behalf of Parth Patel because he had called in earlier, but I guess his phone is not working as of right now. So I'll be speaking on his behalf. That's okay.
I appreciate it. I'm glad that you called in because I don't have my actual cell with me, and I wanted to make sure that somebody was there to really describe. So here's your opportunity to pitch to the council and see if we can help support you. So go ahead, Yash, you have the floor.
So hello, my name is Josh Campbell. I'm going to be speaking on behalf of Parth Patel. We are leading an organization,
Yash?
nonprofit organization.
Can I just ask you one favor? Can you please give your address for the record, please?
Yes, of course. 20 Hemlock Drive.
20 Hemlock, okay. Laurel Park, my old stopping ground.
28.
28, okay, we got it, Yash. Now you can continue, thank you.
So, me and Parth have planned an organization called Helping Hands, and it's a nonprofit organization where it gives us and teens an opportunity to be able to volunteer, serve the community, pick up trash, and just help local food pantries and just give us their time, and we could help them and bring us forward on their help. So we were wondering if we can have any connection with the borough, with as well as you, and getting help and getting volunteers to build up this organization, and just help the community out in any way possible with food pantries or local parks, picking up trash, going to schools, and just helping and volunteering our time to them.
So I wanted to say, well, thank you, Yash. I'm glad that you were able to stay on the phone with Parth. And this is something, anytime we have our young people reaching out to try and do something good and make our community stronger, I wanted to give them an opportunity to speak to the whole council. So I'll let the council, if they have any questions for you. I only received that one email, but I would really love to empower these young people. When it comes to parks and cleanups, I immediately thought of Elise Barone. So that way we can maybe help guide them into that direction. How many young people do you have volunteered already?
So far we have about 7 volunteers, and we're using many different platforms such as Instagram, doing Google Meet, and doing like a Zooms, as well as doing a few group me text messages, and just trying to get more volunteers off the school and just around the community of Sayreville.
That sounds great. So you need help with actually getting the message out, it sounds like, trying to reach a little bit more. So I was thinking if we could maybe put him in touch, if we're comfortable with what their message is, to maybe put him in touch with Julie and see how we can kind of do a little bit of a marketing for them. And then we can hopefully build this group. And then we can give you plenty of projects to work on, Yash.
Do you have anything in mind? I'm always curious to see if our visions align. If your group could have one dream project for a town, what would that be?
I'm sorry, I did not hear that clearly.
She wants to know if there was one project, one dream project that you feel would be one of your centers, one of your main goals for your organization. What do you think your main goal would be at this point?
So, I mean, at this point, since we are just starting up and we are trying to build a small foundation, we were just wondering if we could maybe start a project at Kennedy Park, because it is a big park of Sayreville. And just to start off small and just to see where we can get at the community, and hopefully, get engage more people and get more followers, and stuff like that. Because as students, we're just trying to help the community, and just help the students be able to just give their time and clean up in places that needed to be cleaned up, where they have many filth and dirt and stuff like that.
I love that he thinks Kennedy Park is one of the smaller projects for right now, but I think that will keep you busy.
Music to my ears.
Even if you tripled the number of volunteers within the next couple weeks. So from what I'm hearing, and I'll just ask the council, does anybody have an opposition to us working with Yash and working with Parth in order to help them to get a strong base of our young people out there so we can give them some community projects to work on? Anybody have opposition?
No way.
Oh, thank you so much.
Wonderful. So this is what I'm going to ask you to do, Yash. I'm going to have you reach out to our business administrator, Mr. Frankel, via email.
Yes.
So you can get him at dfrankel@cerevel.com. Of course, you already have my contacts. Parth has it. And Dan, I'm going to ask you if you would then share with Yash and with Parth our communication officers' contact information and have them work together on trying to come up with some ideas to put that out to the public. Got very dark out.
Isaiah,
And hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we can give you some really great projects to work on. Yash, I'm very impressed. Thank you for taking a leadership role like you are. And please tell Parth thank you as well.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much for your time and letting us speak with you and just communicating with you guys. So hopefully we can make this a big organization and get many teams to just help and serve. Thank you.
That sounds great. Thanks, Josh. I really appreciate it. Okay, stay safe and we'll talk soon.
You too.
Okay, so isn't that, it makes, that really warms my heart. We have to be careful. Yeah. Exactly, understood. So ladies and gentlemen, with that, I think we can now move on to
Motion to adjourn.
adjournment. Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Novak.
Yes.
Conti.
Yes.
Delina.
Yes.
Enriquez.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, that brings us to part 2. And we'll stand again for a salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, statement of publications again, Jess?
Take notice that this agenda session meeting of the mayor and council being held on the 17th day of August 2020 has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Thank you, Jess. Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Conti.
Here.
Delina.
Here.
Enriquez.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Novak.
Yeah.
Roberts.
Okay.
Here.
And our professionals, the business administrator,
Oh,
Present.
CFO,
you still with us, Denise?
Denise, you're on mute.
I think I lost.
Are you there?
Here.
There she
Okay.
is.
The engineer?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Now we can.
Here. Here.
And the attorney?
Yes, he was just getting into the car, so I know he'll log in. Okay, that brings us to our ordinances under old business. We have nothing else to discuss. Any questions or comments under those? We're good. Let's go on then to new business, communications and committees report. That is Councilwoman Roberts for Administration and Finance.
Thank you, Mayor. Receive and file administrative minutes and departmental reports for the municipal clerk's monthly report and the CFO's investment activity report for July of 2020.
Second.
And approve applications for bingo raffle licenses for OLB.
Any objection on that?
Approve. Thank you. Approve the request from St. Stanislaus Custa for a refund for license fees for the event that's been canceled.
Okay, any objection? Nope.
Receive and file notice of public hearing for PSE&G on their petition and JCP&L on their petition.
Is there a second? Thank you.
Let's start to open space request per purchase borough property block 73 lot 2 located on Embroidery Street.
Open space.
That's a refer to open space, right? Yes, I thought she said it.
Talk that over with Joe. We haven't actually had a meeting, so
Okay.
we only have 5 a year. And,
Yeah, I think there's another request too, wait, down there.
yep, there's 2 that have to go to it before us.
Looks like it's time. Yeah. Okay, that's going to get referred over for you. Continue.
Thank you. Approve an authorization for the tax collector to refund taxes for 100% disabled veteran exemption.
And that one's going to require a resolution, right, Jess? Okay, you'll have that for next. Yes. Okay. And anything else, committee reports?
No, but I would like to add just the concerns I had about the communications, because there are some that I've been missing. The Borough Blast, I'm going to work with Tom on, and I did have a question about strategy that I did forward to Tom and Dan, and I did get a response from I guess the title is communications officer, and she asked for context for my question, which was simply a strategy question, and that brings up a bigger question I have about the overall strategy, the platform. It is a new position. I know that there's a lot up in the air and a lot going on, but I think it would be very useful for the council to be aware of what the strategy is moving forward, what is the regular type of schedule we can expect. Of course, the emergency notifications are absolutely important and have to go out as they occur, but having a good schedule for some of the common notifications makes a lot of sense. This way we know what's happening rather than finding out afterwards. So there's a lot of communications I've heard about. People have asked me or forwarded to me that I haven't gotten, even though I am active on certain platforms. So I just like to have a little more insight.
I think what we should do, and very good questions, Donna, thank you, and good comments on all of that. Why don't we have Dan or Jess or somebody reach out to our communications officer and have her actually be at our next meeting? So that way we can turn around as a council and we can discuss. I know, listen, this is out of my purview, this is out of my wheelhouse, so I don't
Doesn't even have Facebook.
I don't have Facebook. Yet I pushed to have this communication. I felt it was important. It's funny, I don't have Facebook, and yet people send me screenshots of everything. So for anybody out there in the world that thinks that Facebook is this very, tight, private, and if you're not my friend, there's no way you can see my post, I guarantee you, people are seeing those posts. But let's invite our communications officer to our next meeting. Give a presentation, if so be it, and that way we can turn around and ask questions. And I think, Donna, that's probably the best way to get the answers to your very, very good questions. I just wouldn't be able to answer them.
And as this
Yeah, I think
goes,
moving forward, it will put us in a better position so that we can understand it and make it more effective for the entire council, because one of the first concerns I had about this position was that it should be the voice of the council and the mayor.
Yes, so I agree. I think this is a good way.
and is she filling out productivity logs like our other departments are doing? That would be helpful as well.
I think that's why her bill list comes in with those higher dollar amounts, because I think her bill list is very detailed. Do I think we are getting way more than $2,000 out of her?
For the record, I stated that it should be a full-time job.
Yeah, I mean, we did just say part-time. I know other communications officers, and in talking to mayors in some of the other towns like you had mentioned, you don't want to know what they're really getting paid in order to do these types of jobs. So I don't want to say too much because I don't want, her position was only for 6 months, so I really don't want to see that $2,000 bump up to more when she realizes, wow, this is a whole lot more. But I agree, and I do feel bad because I laughed a little bit, Donna, when you said emergency notifications. I feel like in the last 8 months, that's all we've had is emergencies. So I agree with you, though, Donna, those things do go out quickly. So let's have her come in for the next meeting.
Thank you. And which is why, since it was all emergency, we don't want to get into the bad habit of always reacting. We want to be proactive and have a plan so that when emergencies happen, we all know how it's going to be handled.
You're speaking my language. That word proactive is absolutely what we need to do. I just hope we get our footing sooner and start digging out from underneath some of these really, really catastrophic situations. So,
But if you do need her, Donna, I just simply emailed her, and she was very receptive, a quick response on email, and my message was out within the hour.
that's good. Yeah, I think everybody, I think as a council, and same thing, I would just do emails, because I usually
Don't
do,
even know what her email is.
I think it's simple. I'll write it, it's like the Cerevel.com one.
Oh,
like
she
we
does
have.
have a cerebral duct.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so let's move on then to planning and zoning, unless you had anything else, Donna.
Mike's not able to get back on because of this.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much, Donna, I appreciate it. Planning and zoning, Councilman Delina?
Thank you, Mayor. I move that the minutes and departmental reports numbers 1 through 3 be received and filed.
Second.
B, notice of adjacent community property owners. I move that numbers 1 through 3 be received and filed.
Second.
Other than that, progress.
Thank you very much, Councilman Delina. Let's move on now to public safety, Councilman Conti.
Wow, that was pretty fast.
I know, we're moving. I think it's the storm.
All right.
I want to get out of here in case the power goes out.
I move the following minutes reports be received and filed, numbers 1, 2, and 3.
Second.
We received a coin toss request. It's getting pushed out later and later in the year, so November 14th and 15th. I don't have a problem with that.
Anybody else have a problem with that? No, okay, we're with you.
All right. So letter of resignation as firefighter received from Matt Coyle of Melrose Hose Company Number 1 and Andrew Kashi from Melrose Hose Company Number 1 as well.
Second.
I would just like to thank them for their service and wish them well.
Same.
Same.
It's not an easy job.
No, it's not, I feel bad. I didn't do that the first time. The last time we had it last month, I let that go without thanking them for their service. But anyhow, I'm thanking both Matt and Andrew at this time. We do have an application for membership as firefighter from several individuals. James Hosapfel, Frank Condito III, Keith Stankowitz, and Kyle Sisolak, accepted by Morgan Hose Company Number 1 at their July meeting. As well, Kenneth Nagy III, accepted by Engine Company Number 1 at their July 25th meeting. And Joseph Temensky, accepted by President Park Fire Company at their August 3rd meeting. And just like to approve those memberships.
Okay, any, that's an approve or deny, so any questions on that? We're good, keep going.
All right, welcome to the force.
That's it.
So we did receive another block party request from the residents of Ridge Avenue for August 30th. I know the last time we had it last month, it was, if we were assured that they were following COVID guidelines and proper distancing and masks and so on, then we were okay with it.
Yeah.
I believe I want to follow the same
We already
guidance.
went through
Yeah,
the
we went through
process.
that.
This one already went through, so
Okay.
we got okay.
Police, and they discussed all those things.
All right, good.
The last one was a short one because of the time frame, right?
Yeah, okay.
This one, I think they took care of things a little sooner, so I feel better about that. Good.
Good, I do too then.
And I spoke with the residents of the last one, and they're not ordering all of the things that they normally order. It's mainly just the streets, shut the street down so that the kids can play in the street and,
And
there's
it's a
not
U,
cars.
right? This is,
Yeah, it's on
yeah.
that.
So this is a little bit different. It's not many homes either, I
Right.
think. Only a
Eight.
handful. Yeah,
Good.
7 or 8.
Streets or something.
We don't want to stand in the way of fun.
Well, you know
Safe-
what I liked
safe
is,
fun.
this is what made me feel good about their letter. Not that the other ones didn't, but they made it a point to say that through this whole pandemic, they've been reaching out to one another throughout. So that really makes me feel good. Some streets, I think before COVID, there were some people that didn't know who their neighbors
Oh,
were.
I know.
This particular group seems very close and very tight, and they just wanted an opportunity to say, we're finally able to walk outside and kind of be fairly close to each other.
All right, so just two other things. I just really wanted to thank the Department of Public Works, the folks over there, folks at Police and Fire, emergency squads as well, for getting us through the storm. They were out there, I heard sirens going back and forth. They were out there at the lights, controlling traffic and cleared trees off to the sides, and, you know, so that they weren't impeding traffic or as quickly as they could. And I thought everybody did a really great job. You know, a town just can't stop the power from going out, but they can control the situation from within, and I think they did a very nice job. I just wanted to thank everybody who worked during that time. Just thank them for their efforts. I was very happy to see all that.
I agree.
And then the other thing, I just wanted to wish a speedy recovery to former Councilman McGill.
Yes, I know.
Can I say just one thing? I'm glad Councilman brought this up. What people did above and beyond. The volunteers were out there at Coolas, even though this was a daytime activity, and normally anything during the day is handled by the paid hospital. The volunteers were out there all day helping people up and down the steps. They were answering calls as well. And something people may not know, in Coolas, not only didn't they have lights or air conditioning, they were not, because they have electric stoves, they were not even, no microwaves, they were not able to have a hot meal. And the police department brought in a hot meal.
Yep.
So, I mean, everybody went above and beyond. Little things like that, most people don't even hear about.
Yeah.
So it's up to us, when we hear something, to make sure that it gets out there, how everybody in the town, volunteers and paid, did yeoman duty in that particular time. And I wanted to ask you something, if you could help me. I just got a message that Nixle would no longer be doing texts.
Yep, saw that.
And that upsets me greatly, because if something happens in the middle of the night, I'm not sitting there on the computer to get an email.
Right.
Emails to me for emergency situations are useless. I was wondering if maybe we could find out, was it our decision? What is Nixle's decision? And if it was Nixle's decision, they'll no longer do this, then maybe we should look for another company that will. Because particularly if we have a power outage, people aren't sitting, they won't be able to get to their computers, you know? And, you know, they have their phones, and what is most important is those texts.
I think the police put out in their announcement that they did, and I was glad they did it. I think this was a decision by Nixle. I think they actually stated it in there, that was something that Nixle
I'm gonna
was
be honest,
discontinuing.
I wasn't really sure whether it said Nixle will no longer be doing texts, and I didn't know whether that was their decision not to do
Yeah,
it,
I
or
could
we
be
just
wrong.
against it. Doesn't make sense for us to be against it. but
No.
See if there's someplace else that'll do it.
Inquire.
And, you know, I know there are different organizations, but maybe they've all gone email. In that case, and another question is, if you were signed up for texts, do you now have to sign up for emails, or you just get absolutely nothing now?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I would think you do, because they probably don't have the email, but,
Yeah, that's true. They only have my phone number.
yeah.
So what we'll end up doing is, guess what?
Your job.
Vince, Dan, maybe you could do that too, kind of back up Vince, it might be easier. And then, once we have more information, if we find out that it is a Nixle thing, we can give it to our communications officer, so we can get that out through our Borough Blast. Our Borough Blast reaches almost 10,000 residents, and more, I think, are adding each day.
But, you know, Councilwoman Novak is right, though, with
Yeah.
the power out or the emergency, you're not getting that stuff. You're not
No,
getting an
no,
email,
absolutely
you're not
not.
getting it, so text is really, nowadays, is the surefire way to get a hold of somebody. And
No, I just meant for our Borough Blast to go out to tell people to go
yeah.
and sign up for Nixle
Well,
if they need
yeah,
to
that's
through
good.
email, or if we're able to find another
We
group.
have find another company, tell them to sign up for the new one, so.
Yep, so,
Yeah, let's see. Let me-
yeah, that was
I was
disappointing.
very upset about that, because even if it wakes me up in the middle of the night to tell me that, you know, a road is closed down because of an accident or a pole down, I'm not gonna be sitting there on the computer, you know, and it's good to know right away.
And if anything, we've learned from 2020 so far.
Yes, we need to.
We need more emergency contact in any capacity, but no, it's very important. Thank you for that. It's a good question. Anything else, Vince?
No, that's it. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Councilman Enriquez?
Thank you, Mayor.
Hi, how
All
are
right.
you? All right, Recreation, you're up.
I move the following minutes reports be received and filed. Recreation Department report for the month of July 2020.
Is there a second?
I,
Sorry.
okay. Application for special events received from Brick House Bar and Grill to hold a car hop with food and solo entertainment on October 3rd, 2020. We have First Presbyterian Church to hold a flea market on September 12th, 2020, and St. Stan's Church to hold a family food fest on August 27th to 29th, 2020. Looking for approvals on that.
Any objection to that?
Any objections?
Okay.
All right, I have our rec director, Jerry Utz report here that I'd like to read quickly. All right, the borough under the New Jersey Department of Health guidelines has opened all fields, courts, and playgrounds. Please adhere to the social distancing guidelines, wear masks when appropriate, and sanitize your hands whenever possible. Like to announce a drive-in movie featuring Disney's Aladdin, rated G, for this Saturday, August 22nd at 8 p.m. at the Sports Complex on Bordentown Avenue. It's a free admission for the first 130 cars registered at SayrevilleRec.com. Registration is going to open tomorrow, Tuesday, August 18th at 12 o'clock. Only the driver needs to register, not everybody in the car. We also have the rec department is accepting registration for the fall rec soccer league slated to start on September 19th. Registration is $30 for residents, $55 for non-residents, per child for ages 4 through 16. It will be played at the Sports Complex on the Bordentown Avenue. And then he has a note here, after careful consideration of the New Jersey Department of Health guidelines and a unanimous vote of the Rec Advisory Board, Sayreville Day, the car show, and the Sayreville Recreation Fall preschool programs have all been canceled. If there's any questions or concerns, please reach out to Jerry Utz, and he'll happy to provide any answers that you would need. I would just also like to add, we have a lot of organizations, sports organizations, finishing up their seasons, their spring/summer seasons, and everything went as smoothly as we could hope for. There was a couple of hiccups here or there, but fortunately, everything went smoothly, and I want to tell all those organizations great job in all the work they did. And that's it, Mayor. Progress.
Thank you very much for that. And that brings us to Water and Sewer. Councilwoman Marr.
Okay, I move the following minutes, reports be received and filed. Number 1, the Water and Sewer Director's Report for the month of July 2020.
Second.
Notice of retirement received from Tracy Bazak from her position as data entry operator effective January 1st. And Tracy is a union rep as well, right? I believe.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Tracy, one of the union reps?
No, I don't think so. No.
I'm not sure.
So I wish her well with her retirement.
Second.
And I mentioned this earlier, but in-person water meter reading has resumed. I noticed, like I said earlier, some people were mentioning it online, that they would have liked communication before they got a little rise in their bill. So I reached out to our communications consultant, and a message went out immediately. I agree. Electronic billing, I'm happy to report, is in test mode.
Yes, I was part
So
of the test.
I'm requesting to be part of the test next time. So again, I mean, this is thousands of dollars in postage that we're saving, and just another way, less paper. We're trying to go green, right? And I try not to go to my mailbox as much as possible.
Yeah, I think they were trying to put you in, but your bill cycle,
It just passed.
what just passed. So I happen to be in the cycle. They were looking for houses where they can send out and just make sure the communication, and knock on wood, it looked like everything went well. So yeah, this could save us.
I'm thrilled to hear that.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, we save $4,000 a year just from not sending out delinquent notices in the mail. So it just felt like so much unnecessary spending, and I think this is another way to save. Our fire hydrants are in the process of getting painted. I also wanted to thank our parks and DPW for the storm cleanup. We had so many trees and branches all over the place, and I know we have some new recruits that we're training now, and so they're in the thick of things. And also, grass clippings are on hold till September 1st. Right, Mary?
Well, looks like they're going to get the branches picked up a little sooner.
Oh, good.
So as soon as we finish, which should be, I think, Wednesday of this week, we might
That's what I
finish,
heard, yeah.
Right.
we will be starting grass pickup again.
Great. So
Grass too long is,
Yeah, it
turns
stinks.
into methane gas.
So here's the other example. My neighbor had no idea that Grass Clip, that we offered that service. That's another, I reached out to our communications director, consultant.
Service, that's mandatory grass recycling in town.
So our residents are not aware, and this is another, piece of information that we should be sending out, and that I think we will be soon. And it's a great service to have, I know.
So,
I'm sorry if that's the truth, because we started grass recycling when we first started recycling 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's been mandatory in Saraville for all of that time. You're
I
not
think we
supposed to be
get
putting it in the garbage can. You're supposed, that's why years ago, not that anybody needs to know this, when we first started this, we actually had a deal with RUPS that if people went out and bought a mulching blade, we would pay
we
for
would
it.
get, yeah.
Ah.
They would have a coupon, and we would reimburse RUPS for every coupon that was used. So, I mean, we were really promoting this 20 years ago. I don't know how it,
I think what happens is people come and go.
people
So,
come and go.
Right, and
not-
they don't
they're
pass
going-
it on, or,
and-
right,
Yeah, and they're thinking what they did in their town. It may
Right.
not have been mandatory in another town.
right.
I think it's another good example that, and this isn't about the communications officer, this is more about us making a decision as a council to really just start bringing more news and more information to the fingertips and right to the doorstep without having to use the mail. Information is power. So, and I don't think people really realize sometimes how many services we do offer.
Recycle app the Recycle Coach app that I'm
Yeah.
constantly, mentioning. So many people aren't aware of that. So, I think we can exhaust our communications consultant.
Absolutely, I'm exhausted myself. Hey, if there's anything to be said about COVID-19, and it's devastating what we're all dealing with, not just in New Jersey or Saraville, but throughout the country, I think it's really teaching us to learn how to adapt to situations, find new ways to do things, and I think it's pushing us here in Saraville to be more efficient, and to, instead of going back to that old adage of, this is how it's always been done, we're now looking at, that might have been how it was always done, but we now need to look at how we can move things forward. So I think that is that one
How
little
long it
bit.
took us to get Tom Bracken.
I know.
We're the only people in the whole continent, I think, that didn't have
And-
a T person.
Yeah,
And then two other things that I'm hearing online. One, when is Fort Grumpy opening on a weekend? And two, when are park bathrooms opening? I had a friend who had to use a porta-john while holding her baby. So, just two things to consider.
I think
Both of
that's
those
something
things
we
are on hold because they would require overtime. Until we have a better handle on the budget, we will be doing as little overtime as possible, unfortunately.
yeah, I know, people, who's that? Go
was
ahead.
Dan.
Dan, I think that was you. Go ahead, Dan.
What was me? About what?
Oh,
Was
I
it you?
thought,
Okay.
okay, it was not you. I thought I heard somebody that wanted to say something on the line, but yeah, I hate to say it. I mean, although that was a little bit of a shining ray of, COVID pushing us to do things in a different manner, one of the big issues that every municipality and the state in general is dealing with is fiscal stability. And that's a very, very big concern. I would love nothing more, I'm sure we all would, to go back to operations and business as usual. But right now, that the financial component to this is really starting to be felt. So we will definitely bring those things back as soon as we can say that fiscally, we can afford to do that without having some really, really serious decisions to have to make. It's tough, I know. We only, last year was when we pushed to reopen Fort Grumpy on a Saturday, because we didn't have it for a very long time. I was
I
one
think
of,
it was once a month, and then we opened it every Saturday.
every Saturday, exactly.
I think it was your first year.
It was, because I actually remember the resident that, actually, she was a substitute teacher in the school, and I would see her on occasion, and when I would go get my lunch, we'd talk about things, and she really pushed me on that issue and said, can we do this, can we do this, can we do this? And working with Bernie, we were able to find a way to do it. You know, we scrimped, we put together something, it wasn't gonna cost us a lot, the grant and this, and we opened it up more.
It's a good way to phase back in when it comes to that.
Yeah, that might be something we can think about. I think right now we have to keep our wallet tight, once a month, yeah,
Phase back in, yeah.
yeah. So I think we'll
I'm
get
looking
there.
forward to October 1st.
That would be
We
nice.
will, we'll get our final figures on the state money. So.
Yeah, exactly. So very good. Anything else, Councilwoman Moore?
That's all. I also want to send my well wishes to Councilman McGill, and I shared my condolences with Donna.
Okay. I didn't know if that was Donna. Again, I was a little late coming, but my condolences to you as well. My heart broke when I read that. So please know that I'm thinking of you.
Mayor.
Okay, let's move on. Council President Novak.
Yes, I move that the following minutes and reports be received and filed as listed under the agenda under A1 and 2.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Committee report. I just, today we had, I don't want to say we met with, we had a call with PSC&G and their discussion on what roads they were looking to upgrade their lines in town. As the mayor remembers,
Yes.
we had many, many years of them not fulfilling the borough obligation as to repaving the roads after they had done it. Since they had been not getting permits, we didn't even know what they were doing.
Yep.
So we couldn't even run after them until we had our public works people literally driving around the streets and saying, okay, they dug up here. They are now caught up except for one street. It was stopped because of the rain, but they anticipate finishing by Monday, repaving all of the streets that they had not done. They are now looking at telling us what streets they will be doing, and there's considerable amount of streets that they want to do. They're working with the supervisor in Public Works as well as Jay. They are asking for some relief. We had told them before they wouldn't get any relief with the old streets because they had done it improperly, and when they finished with that, any new streets, we would consider it. They are going to be coming forward to us within the next 2 meetings in September with a list of what they would like. Our borough ordinance says if you dig up a road and the trench is longer than 30 feet or something like that, I don't know the exact footage, but so many feet in trench, you must repave the street curb to curb.
This was the hand motions
Yeah.
for a year during this war. This was curb to curb.
They are looking for, they said they have worked with other towns that have similar ordinances, maybe some streets, particularly if we're going to repave them shortly, that they can just leave the trench. Some streets, they are looking for perhaps only having to do it from midsection over to the curb. Some streets, they are looking to, well, we would say, no, we just paved that street. You're gonna do the whole damn thing again. So, they'll be coming forward with us. That is still going to be our decision to decide if we want to give them any, leeway, or just tell them, hey, you want to upgrade your service for different reasons, you're gonna have to, I care about our roads, you care about your lines. They're looking for us to come to some sort of agreement. Other towns have. When that report is compiled, I will bring it back to the council, and we will get to make the decision on what we would like to do. Other than that, this is a little bit of public service, public safety, I mean. The police department, it was on Facebook. I'm a little concerned because it's a Monday night and it's raining, so therefore, the police must be standing out there waiting for groceries. It has been moved to Tuesdays, and I was afraid there were signs put up. It was on Facebook, but for anybody that showed up tonight and it was raining and wondering where the cops were, they should have been out there soaking wet, because it's a standard joke. Whenever they say we're picking up groceries, they'll say, oh, good, we need the rain.
Yep.
So it has been moved to Tuesdays. Tuesdays, they'll be picking up groceries. Tuesday, they'll also be giving out groceries. The groceries that are picked up on Tuesday will not be, just so they know that they haven't been touched by anybody for a full week. They will be the ones handed out the following week. Like we were doing it Monday and Friday,
Right.
so the groceries were kept for 5 days. This way, it saves a little money in overtime. It won't be 2 days. But people, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get it out there as much as we can. Maybe Julie can pick up on the police and kind of share it on our Facebook page. It has moved to Tuesdays. Both pickup and drop-off are now moved to Tuesdays, and it will be during the day.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's out there, but I just thought I'd keep saying it.
So Dan, you got more info to send over to Julie. Maybe we can have Julie actually work
Running with the
directly with,
police.
yeah, I know who's running, is it James
James,
that's
yes.
running the Facebook stuff? So get those two great minds to work together, and that way we can get more coverage, between the two
Are you
pages.
doing it during the day? That helps with the OT aspect?
Yeah, they were picking it up and dropping it off in the evenings because they felt a lot of people are working. But we're trying to save a little money here, and hopefully, if you can't drop it off, or if you need it and you can't be there at a certain time, maybe you can make direct arrangements. But right now, they're trying to do it now during the normal working hours, so it isn't costing any overtime.
All right.
We're gonna see how it goes.
Yeah.
Tomorrow will actually be the first day. They did give it out last Friday, just so people wouldn't be, and just so you know, they did it for free. They didn't put in anything. They worked on their own time. So, because they wanted to finish out the week. They did not pick up today, and as soon as it started to pour, I said, oh my God, people are really gonna think this is when they're supposed to be dropping the food off. But they did put out signs, but I'm sure there are still people that didn't see it. And I'm trying to share the heck out of this so there won't also be people looking for groceries on Friday, that they'll know enough to come on Tuesday.
And I think we are going to need to have a bigger conversation as a council and brainstorm, and look for more community assistance, when it comes to helping to disseminate this, the stuff out of the food pantry. That food pantry, in the senior center is getting a full revamp. We're getting better shelving, and that was, through volunteer efforts of the Rotary Club, and working with, Julian's Garage over there. And we know that our families are just, we had those in need before, and the numbers are growing.
Well, Yash just mentioned that his group would be interested.
I think that's excellent.
Excellent.
And also police auxiliaries is something they could help with.
Yeah,
Well,
they
they
need
were.
hours. They've been helping,
Yeah.
and they need some more hours because, with everything being canceled, I think, Michelle, you were the one that mentioned it.
Yeah, there's no fireworks, no carnivals.
The temple isn't having their activity to the best of my knowledge, but they were helping with the meals, the hot meals,
Yes.
as well as they help with this also. So, the important thing to me right now is getting the message out to the people that really need this food. I'm petrified that they won't know it's Tuesday and they'll come on Friday. It's one thing if they come tonight and nobody's there to pick it up, they can take it home, but the people that are gonna be anticipating this on Friday and they don't know it was done on Tuesday. So,
Right.
as much as we can get this out there over and over again, like all day tomorrow, so
So
these
let's,
people really need it.
yeah, that's what I mean. Let's also definitely have Julie reach out,
Maybe
to
they can
James
somehow,
and get,
what do they do? Take a picture of it and then post it?
yeah,
I have
and
to
I
ask
think.
my grandkids.
And I think this is something worthy of a borough blast too.
Yeah.
Because I don't have Facebook, I'm sure many other people do not, I'm not the only one
James
in the
didn't
world.
until we got-
So I think that's a good thing, and a very, very important community outreach that has to happen, more and more so. So we definitely need to brainstorm as a council to get that voluntary aspect and community help. Poor Yash and Parth, they didn't know what they were getting involved in when they said, we want to help, we need it.
Yeah, that'd be a good person to put him in touch with Lieutenant Novak. And, he has a Lieutenant Novak for, if you're still listening, what's your friend's name again? I'm sorry.
Who's that?
Yash?
Oh, Yash?
Josh, and he has a borough email, jnovak@sayreville.com, and he might need your help handing out groceries or taking them in.
Yep, I agree. So,
And just real quick, and then I'm done, I just want to thank everybody, all the borough workers, but, I have a special place in my heart for the public works workers. They work so hard, and they do yeoman duty, and quite frankly, I don't think they get all of the accolades that they should, but then again, people have a tendency to not say thank you when something's good, but they don't waste a minute when something isn't good. So we're working as hard as we can. We're really behind in the filling of potholes, no getting away from it. COVID really put the town not just in money tightness, but also we're behind the 8 ball in a lot of the work we usually do in the spring. So thank you very much for all the hard work of all the borough workers.
Very good. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. I'll try and be brief. I really, really will. I had another email, and I don't know if the individual is on the call, but I did make a promise. Somebody had reached out to me inquiring about archery, which we do actually have an archery site, which is located near the dog park. But it could use a little TLC, so it's more work for, our volunteers, Parth and Yash.
I followed up on that.
You did?
I did.
Did you see that
There
email
were
from?
Scouts with the Boy Scouts.
Yes.
So I followed up, and one of our town workers is a scout and is looking into,
Yeah, Joe.
yep. And,
Everybody knew.
something about getting the equipment and the materials, and I could check my email. I think she said when the weather cools down, so, I feel like September.
Well, what this person was inquiring about actually was whether or not we had an archery site, so, and we do.
Yeah.
But one of the things that they were looking to do was actually try and put together, like a shooting club, okay, for young people, for older people. I mean, listen, it was something I started when I was 10. So I started hunting at 10, back in the day. I used to do, Bow Hunters was the name of an organization that you could go to and do competition bow hunts, which I did for a very long time. And it's something that I didn't realize is starting to come back a little bit in popularity, with some young kids that are doing some archery now. A young man around the corner from me, he's only in the UES, and he started to do that also. And they travel to a little bit further of a place, but it would be nice if we had something locally here. I've been going on COVID road trips, mostly up north with the girls, just to kind of see and explore, since you can't really go to a lot of different places. And I visited, they have an archery site in Chester and some other areas, gave me some ideas. So if that gentleman is on this call, I told you, I promised that I would bring it up. And I will.
The Boy Scouts are gonna make the archery range nice, and the mayor is going to get people, she's gonna be the first one out there.
First one out there. I was very excited because my daughters actually, they started to take up this sport as well. And we've been going to different places that we need it in order to, when you're doing just practice at short range, you can do it as long as you have the space. And I have a large hill, but here we have the berms, it's safer, it's better. So I'm excited to maybe offer something else. We have a lot of different sporting activities here. It would be kind of cool to have maybe a competition archery group coming out of Saraville.
It's easy to social distance with that.
That's what's great about it. It is. It's a very socially distanced, appropriate sport. JCP&L. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our storm, and just like the rest of the council has said, I thank all of our borough employees. DPW, the branch pickup, just having to be out there for. I saw trees. I saw pictures of whole entire blocks that just had like the grass lifted up, and it's dangerous work. You don't realize it. And it's not so much dangerous just during the storm, afterwards too, when those trees now have been knocked around and the branches are loose, but they haven't come down yet. So my hat is off to all of you. I have to give a special shout out to our water and sewer department, especially our water director, Dave Leitner, because throughout the storm, I don't really think he ever left the site. And I want to say thank you to our residents also. What some of you did not realize was that our water wells, which are not located right here in Saraville, they're located actually in Old Bridge. That's where we pump our water from, okay? And then it's sent over to the treatment facility, and we lost power to that line because there was a major transformer situation, a major hub in Spotswood that actually was powering that, and we lost power to our water wells. This, in the first 24 hours, was not quite crisis mode because we had water in reserve that we were able to turn around and didn't interrupt our service. But anytime you're moving past that period of time and we start using our reserve and our wells and our reserve goes down, we started to enter a little bit of a crisis mode. We were always going to be able to bring in water, but we would have to pay for that at a premium. And I have to say that Dave was on the phone working 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. He was getting calls constantly. He literally lived in what I consider like a bunker. I actually went, what day was that, Dan? 2 days after the storm, I went to the bunker.
Correct.
And we went and we toured that site, and let me tell you, we go over to our faucets and we just turn them on, or we flush a toilet, and we really do not understand what goes into making that happen. We take it for granted. Dave did an amazing job. JCP&L. Everybody knows that over the last few years, there's certain groups that I have warred with. PSE&G being one of them regarding our roads for a long time. Saker during the some of the COVID stuff. I think they had a picture of me up, don't let this woman in. JCP&L is now on that list because the way in which they handled their response to New Jersey and to Saraville, we weren't really that bad, was just deplorable. Dan Frankel and I were on the call with JCP&L the next day. After 24 hours, they decided to hold a mayor's call. It lasted for 30 minutes. They shut the call off, and they didn't want to hear from any of us. It got so nasty the second day. I have a lot of respect for many, many mayors, and let me tell you, the gloves were off. And people really let the president and the vice president of JCP&L know exactly how they felt. I was enraged and furious that it took us 48 hours to actually really get our water wells up and running. It angered me that at first we were not a priority town. When you have an entire water system go down like that, underneath the hospitals and the long-term care facilities, that's it. We're in crisis mode. It took us, we were quickly at getting everything up and running again, but I'll tell you, I was not happy about it. But I was happy with the way our community stepped up and followed the conservation. I was happy to say that the initial day of the storm, we had approximately 18,000 residents that were without power on that initial first day. In less than 24 hours, we had 8,000 restored. Okay, so that was a matter of like 10 hours, we had approximately 8,000 restored in a very, very short amount of time then within the next couple of days. And I think, Vince, you were without power for quite a while, and I know, Damon, you were. After screaming and yelling, getting a little help from Congressman Pallone, because we went right to the top, I contacted his office to make sure that Saraville got restored, and we did.
I follow Madawan's pages, and they had it out much longer than us.
Spotswood, Madawan. We ended up, through the fighting of Dave Leitner, Dan Frankel, and myself, we very, very quickly got the attention that we needed.
Thank you for doing that.
It was long. I did not sleep. Dan will tell you. I had that phone next to me. At one point, Dan, what was it? The crew that we finally pulled, was it out of Morristown, Dan?
Crew was from Morristown at 11 p.m. to come down to Duhernal by, I guess it was by 1 a.m. to have it fixed by 3:30 a.m.
And Dave Leitner, who saw the one crew that was there at about 11:30, wasn't there to actually do the work. He wouldn't let them leave. He saw them on the road. I was on the phone with him. Dan was on the phone. I said, Dave, find them and make sure they don't go anywhere. And that's what he did, because we were not going to let Saraville be, pushed off for another town. We became that priority. So I'm proud of the response and what we were able to do thanks to the work of Dave and to Dan. So thank you for that. I think that brings me to the end of my report, with the exception of one thing. And I debated whether I was going to bring this up, but I need to, and I don't know if you guys are getting the same type of comments and questions as I am in reference to the Board of Education's response to reopening school. And I debated whether or not I was going to make any statements about it, and me personally, in this position, I need to say something. So please bear with me, and again, these are my personal statements as mayor, as a mom, and as a teacher. I do not hold the council to they have their own opinions, but I need to put this on record. So, and I wrote this, so please bear with me. I wanted to take a moment to comment on what I personally believe is the most pressing public safety issue facing Saraville, the state, and the rest of the country, and that is the reopening of our schools. Over the past week, I've been on the phone and responded to countless emails from parents, teachers, grandparents, and they're really quite, when you got a grandparent on a call and they're talking about their grandkids, that's beyond Mama Bear or Papa Bear. Grandparents are pretty passionate about this. and other people regarding Saraville Board of Education school reopening plan, and I'm being specific to Saraville's, because I'm St. Stan's and OLV, that's not part of this conversation. I must make it clear. First, the mayor and the council, we have had zero input into this plan. Zero. Despite having reached out to Dr. Labby during this process. I had actually instructed our business administrator, Mr. Frankel, to reach out to Dr. Labby in the beginning to offer our help and support at devising his restart plan in any way that we could. And that was part of the governor's recommendations. That was mentioned in his restart, in the governor's restart plan. He had stated that the plan should include local leaders, so whether that be me or somebody else up here. I was disappointed when I was informed by Mr. Frankel that Dr. Labby declined the borough's assistance. But I was even more disappointed and concerned to learn that our police chief, who is also our OEM director, was not contacted for insight into the development of this reopening plan. And I was further disappointed when it was confirmed that no currently employed Saraville teacher was actually on the pandemic team, and that the Saraville Education Association, which represents nearly 800 teachers and educational support professionals, did not have a seat at the table when that restart plan was developed. This was disappointing to me. When the health and safety of our children, teachers, staff members, and in turn, all of our residents' lives stand to be impacted by these decisions, I feel that it's not only beneficial, but necessary and in the best interest to our borough to have those members a part of the development plan. And I needed to say that because a lot of the calls that I get, and the ladies, and I know Dan Frankel can tell you, people call up here very, very angry, demanding to know why we're doing this. And I will gladly take ownership of any decision that I make, as I know the council feels the same way. But I had to make that clear. And then I will add this. I will personally go on record right now that, in my opinion, it is not safe at this point to move to in-person instruction. My own children will be learning remotely, at least for now. I cannot justify in my mind why, as a state, we would support bringing thousands of students, teachers, and staff members into a building for hours when, as a state, we cannot dine indoors, we cannot go to a movie, we cannot work out at a gym or gather with more than 25 people because it is considered unsafe, because these are the optimal conditions to spread this deadly virus. Our children should not be on the front line of this reopening plan. Again, this is my opinion. I was reminded only yesterday of Dr. Labby's presentation regarding the referendum that was originally going to be scheduled to be voted on as early as September. If you remember, he had contacted all parents and residents. He went around to PTOs and he discussed the need for this referendum for infrastructural repairs. In September, he was calling for millions of dollars to be used to upgrade our school infrastructure HVAC systems. In his PowerPoint presentation, he called for, and I quote, this is right off of the page, reparations or installation of new central heating and cooling systems in all schools. He called for the replacement of, and I quote, inoperable or, quote, inefficient boilers and existing classroom HV, inefficient HVAC unit ventilators with high-efficiency boilers. He gave data that included 12 out of 17 days in September and days in October when school classroom temperatures reached 80, 90, and 100 degrees inside our schools. This is on the PowerPoint. And in his presentation, he asked this question, and I quote, "Are we going to continue to ignore the obvious? Can children learn in an environment like this? Can teachers perform to the best of their abilities in conditions like this when we know that the #1 factor in a student's education is the teacher?" That is a direct quote from his Board of Education presentation, which I watched again yesterday. So with that, I ask you all. Dr. Labby and the Board of Education felt that temperatures were already impacting our children negatively and restricting their learning in a pre-COVID world. What impact on our teachers and our students will that environment now have, coupled with the fear of contracting this virus and wearing a mask all day? I implore everyone listening to me in here to consider the plan that was put in place and to pray that Dr. Labby and the Board of Education will make the best decision in the interest of our children, teachers, staff, and in turn, all of our residents. So, thank you for giving me that opportunity to speak. I know everybody has their own opinions, and you all have to do what is the best for your family. But I needed to put that on record, and I ask you to think about that, and I ask you to, again, pray for the health and safety of us all. So, thank you. With that, we'll move on to the Business Administrator's report. Mr. Frankel?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Authorization to execute a discharge of mortgage for property located at 53 Haven Terrace in the amount of $7,270.
Any objection? Okay.
Authorization for the Borough Attorney to prepare a right-of-way agreement with Paul Hoffman to allow connection to the water and sewer utilities on Melrose Avenue.
Any objection? Nope.
Authorization to award a non-fair and open contract to TK1 Solutions LLC for proprietary network and application services in an amount not to exceed $49,500.
Any questions? Nope. Great.
Authorization to donate vehicles no longer needed for public use to the Sayreville Fire Department for the training purposes. There are 4 vehicles listed.
Any objection?
I just have one question. Did they first speak to Kenny Piscatelli to see if there's any parts on there that he could cannibalize first?
I think the cannibalization is over. It's over. It's done. These are sales of vehicles.
Okay.
So we're using the word vehicle very lightly here. Go ahead.
Correct. Authorization to award a non-fair and open contract to the Rogers Group LLC for the provision of police accreditation and training services in an amount not to exceed $19,947.
Any objection? Okay.
Authorization for Department of Public Works to pick up garbage at the new Sayreville preschool located at 111 Highway 34, Matawan, New Jersey.
The recommendation of the Public Works Director was that we not do this, and particularly at this time. I mean, we don't even know if that school is going to be opened. And it just seems, I don't want to jump on the Board of Education, but I really think they made this decision to go down there without even, after the fact, finding out that, nobody was going to pick up their garbage. I don't think it's a good idea to get involved right now. We're playing it extremely tight with everything we're doing, and I just don't think it's a good thing to get involved in now, particularly since at the most they're going to be open one day a week, or actually, from what I've been gathering, the preschool people have no idea if they're going to be opened at all.
Yeah, I don't.
So to get involved in that, because they're all online saying, well, what's happening with preschool? Nobody has, I read what he sent, and I only read it because, my family member sent it to me. It wasn't anything that was handed out to the general population on what's happening with K through 12. I've seen nothing on whether they're even opening that building or when they're going to be opening that building. And it's just my opinion as the council person in charge of Public Works and the Public Works Director that we not get involved in this.
And if I could piggyback off of Mary's comments, Dan, I remember when this first got brought up, didn't we ask for some information out of the Board of Education regarding the amount of trash? Because we were trying to look at it from a cost perspective. Did we ever get that information?
And you also mentioned, Dan, about
We did get
making money on recycling.
some of the information. We got most of the information on the recycling because we wanted to accept the tonnage that we wanted in our coffers, not in Old Bridges or anybody like that. That we definitively got. We got some other information on how much trash they thought, how much they thought. It was a very loose report, but there was some information that was given to us. Yes.
I would support what the, I'll be honest, with only, and again, it's probably hard for them to create numbers for something that they've never had before. But, right now, we are erring on the side of like every single nickel counts, and if the director of DPW isn't comfortable with that, I don't feel comfortable.
And not only that, I also am objecting I've seen 2 complaints online this week. I know we have storm cleanup issues, but we're still having complaints about garbage or garbage in our parks. And until I'm seeing no complaints of issues in our own town, I don't think we're in a position to be adding extra work, sending our employees out of town.
I hear that too. Let's do a quick poll so that way we can move forward. And I do want to give their business administrator at least a definitive, because they're going to have to find a way to pick up this trash then if they're relying on us. So let's do a little poll there, Jess.
Okay, Councilperson Conti?
In favor or opposed?
So I'd rather their town pick up the trash as well, if it's entirely possible.
Yeah, they'd have to pay for it, that's what they're saying, because it wasn't, yep. So, opposed? That's enough? Okay.
Selena?
I would have to go with the recommendations of the Public Works Director and Councilwoman Novak as she oversees Public Works, so that would be no.
Enriquez?
Yeah, I gotta agree. If Mr. Bailey says that it's gonna cause a hardship right now, then I don't think we should be doing it.
Mar?
No, opposed.
Novak?
Opposed.
Roberts?
Opposed.
All right, thank you. Dan, can you please let Ms. Hill know then where the council feels on that? Thank you.
Okay, may I just have a little guidance on something that you have discussed, though? You're saying we do not want to pick it up. My next question would be, and I'm sure the question would come from the business administrator from the Board of Education, would we pick it up for a fee?
Is Bernie's reason for saying no, sometimes it's not necessarily about the money, it's about like what Michelle's saying, manpower and whatnot.
Manpower, and I mean, people don't realize that we have a time limit on, and, well, it'll only take 15 minutes to drive down there, 15 minutes to drive back. That's giving optimum time. That's not accounting for how many dumpsters they're gonna have, because it's.
Snow, ice, rain.
Yeah, we're not taking an automated truck down there. We're taking an orange truck down there that has to be capable of doing dumpsters. We don't, to the best of my knowledge, we haven't even heard what dumpsters are down there. Well, our trucks could pick them up. I mean, because every dumpster is not equal. Some are pulled out by chains, and we've really gotten nothing from the Board of Education as to what. And then, what if that extra half hour or 45 minutes, what am I saying? 45 minutes, maybe an hour, and then we miss the closing time of the dump because we're not allowed to keep garbage. This would be done at the end of a route, and we barely make it to the dump in time. We have to be in line by a certain time, or we're not allowed to dump, and we're not supposed to keep the garbage in the trucks overnight. So and we don't even have half of the particulars.
I've been up on the site. I mean, literally, I think I'm the only I did a full day of garbage pickup in the summer, the heat of the summer, right after a rainstorm, and they said that's the worst time to go up on the dump. And I went there, and I was on the mound, and I watched as my sanitation employee at the time had to get out and actually shovel our truck out because we sunk into this. And let me tell you, to this day, that smell took a week for it to leave. Not my clothes. The clothes were gone that day. But it was literally trapped up in the sinuses, and it did not leave. And I'm telling you right now, every now and then, it comes back. And I say to myself, wow, God, I have such a new respect for our sanitation employees after that experience.
Just think of what it was like when they were lifting up those cans.
No, thank you. So I think that's going to be a no-go from what I can understand. This isn't necessarily this isn't about the money here. I think it's about the ability.
Feasibility of it right now.
I mean, you can see what she comes back with, but I just think that from this perspective of what Bernie's saying, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but listening to Council President Novak, that's a no-go even with money. It's not about the cash. Okay, Mr. Frankel?
Thank you.
Thank you. Keep going.
Authorization for CME to prepare the borough's federal risk and resiliency assessment and update the emergency response plan at an amount not to exceed $25,000.
Any objection? No.
Authorization to award a contract for census water meters and related equipment in Core and Maine LLP through the ESC and NJ cooperative contract in an amount not to exceed $100,000.
Any objection? Okay.
Authorization to award an emergency contract to AC Schultes for Duhernal Well BF redrill in an amount not to exceed $232,284.
Any objection? Okay.
And that will be it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that report. Ms. Biancamano, CFO's report.
Authorization to amend the 2020 local municipal budget for the following: drive sober or get pulled over for $5,500, and 2020 cops hiring program for $1 million. That's it, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that
Love to see
report.
those extra things we hadn't planned for.
Yes.
A note to the council. I don't know how many people are aware, because I found out through the grapevine. One of the 5 people that we hired has already dropped out.
I did hear that.
And it was primarily because Cape May, because their new COVID policy is to shorten the academy, but you have to stay there every single day. It used to be Monday through Friday with the weekends off. And this person just felt he couldn't leave his family for that point in the time, even though they shortened the number of days, that, you know, it was just too much. So we lost one, so we're looking forward to, instead of hiring 4 for the spring academy, we'll be looking at 5 again.
All right. Yeah, and that happens once in a while. We've had it happen.
More often than you think, you know, Vic.
I know.
I'm sorry, Mayor.
No, that's okay. Thank you for that. Let's move on to the Borough Engineers Report. Jay?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 2 items this evening. First is the Pulaski Avenue project that's been completed. We're recommending you have a resolution closing out the contract and approving a final change order that's going to have a net reduction to the overall amount.
Thank you. Very good.
The second item, the Crossman Pump Station. That project as well has been completed, recommending a resolution closing out that contract, approving a change order. That's got no change to the final contract amount. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Jay, we have a question.
Not really a question. On your written report, you say it's a net increase instead of decrease. That was just a little typo. Yeah. If anybody read it quickly, it says increase, but it's actually a decrease of $241,000 and change.
Yep, my apologies. That's correct. It is a decrease of approximately $440,000.
Every dime.
Every dime counts. Thank you so much for that, Jay. Borough Attorney's report, anything?
Yes, just following up from last year's authorization to execute a settlement agreement resolving the Oprah litigation with NCBDI in the amount of $6,000.
Thank you.
And then the other thing is you guys need to be very, very careful going home. It is just extremely dangerous out there, and plus the Main Street bypass, right after the street where the police station is, there's some flooding, major flooding right there. So if whoever's going that way, just make sure you're very careful.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike, and I hope you get, if you're not home already, I hope you get home safe.
Yeah, just we're pulling into Red Bank now. It's a little dangerous out there, so if you all are moving out or going anywhere tonight, be very, very careful.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that, Mike. Have a good evening.
Mayor,
yes.
before you go into a public, just one more thing that was on the agenda that was brought to my attention late this evening. One of our volunteer firemen went for their physical and was recommended by Hackensack Meridian to go and get a full contrast stress test, where his own doctor said he didn't need it. That stress test by Hackensack Meridian would be a cost to the borough of $840. I'd like to know what the council's poll would be to do that. Usually we do not do that, but I'd like to know what you think.
Yeah, my thought is to do it, but the council needs to make that decision. Jess, you want to just do a quick poll again?
Councilpersons Conti,
Yes.
Delina,
Kev?
Sorry, yes.
Thank you.
Enriquez?
Yes, please.
Mar?
Yes.
Novak?
Yes.
Roberts?
I'm sorry, what was the total cost of that again?
$840.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Keep us posted.
Yeah, let us know.
Okay, anything else, for executive session? Anything, Mike? I don't believe so. We have nothing, right? No, nothing for exec. I'll open to the public then for any and all questions or comments. Please press star 9 if you would wish to, speak at this time. Take a look. I don't see anything. All right,
Move the public portion be closed?
roll call, please.
Councilpersons Novak?
Yes.
Conti?
Yes.
Selena?
Yes.
Enriquez?
Yeah.
Mar?
Yes.
Roberts?
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, like Mike said, everybody get home safe, and thank you all.